Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for a little bit of Path of Exile, and what we're going to be doing today is getting ourselves started and established in the 3.19 Mayhem event. This has been appropriately named so far. Each zone that you go into will have 3 specific difficulty mods. One of them will cause a whole bunch of extra rewards as well. So one of them is what you might term a content mod, and in this case, area contains 20 additional strongboxes. Note this actually applies in Heist, which normally wouldn't get strongboxes under any circumstances. Then there's 2 difficulty mods. Here we've got monsters deal 40% of physical added as lightning, and monsters maim on hit with attacks. Otherwise, we have the standard rule set for Heist in play here. So any of the loot that drops in those strongboxes, assuming that they work, there's been a couple of things in Heist that haven't worked properly. It looks like maybe the strongboxes aren't working. That'll be unfortunate. The interesting ones, though, the Tormented Spirits do work, and they're crazy in Heist. As well as that, I think it's the Invasion bosses work as well. They've been pretty wild too. It does look like we might have nothing here, but the loot that drops from a strongbox, if it was working, would be contraband as per standard Heist rules. Breaches work, and breaches end up just making these things look totally crazy. So, gear-wise, this character is wearing complete and utter garbage. We have got a helmet that's life and resist, and not very good life resist. We have worse life resist gear in other slots, so life resist, life move speed resist with nothing good on it. Reasonable life resist and stats ring, reasonable life and stats ring amulet. Unfortunately, global critical strike multiplier is a dead stat for my build. Then we have absolutely terrible ring, absolutely terrible chest, and pretty bad gloves. Gloves aren't terrible, but they're not good. Ascent from Flesh is one of the uniques I've found, and I'm using it just because it's got 95 energy shield, 300 evasion, and 11 to all resist. And I'm willing to give up my belt slot for that currently because it's perfectly serviceable. It gets the job done. Otherwise, this is a 4-link with level 17 gems and double ascended. I'm not triple ascended yet. I should probably actually triple ascend while I'm on this stream. That'd be something interesting to do. The Labyrinth is pretty wild in this event. Izaro himself is not boosted by Mayhem stats, but everything else, every room that doesn't have a Zaro in it is buffed, and those can be pretty crazy sometimes. Mechanically, you'll see that there's these corpses that are still on fire, and that's that pale fire that's on the ground. What's causing that is the Ignite Proliferation support that I've got currently on my primary skill. So Wave of Conviction is linked to Ignite Proliferation support. That causes enemies that are set on fire by that skill. That causes the... Ooh, I know, I saw a really good implicit there. In fact, another really good implicit, but not good items. That causes that enemy to stay on fire while it's alive and even while it's a corpse. And that fire will inflict damage to nearby enemies as well. It's not just to the enemy itself. It will also set its friends on fire, which is always a good thing. You'll also notice I'm not playing exactly what I'd originally planned, and that's just because I'm still in this phase of establishing the character, so I don't yet have the ability to inflict shocks with most of my skills, and as a result I am using Orb of Storms, which is linked to an Overshock support, and that provides a burst of extra damage when it procs. So when it actually shocks an enemy, then means that they're going to take a massive amount of extra damage from that. From memory, it's also got some sort of other support on it. It's just added lightning damage. That's right. So that means that when it does shock, it hits a bit harder. I'm not using any sort of guard skill currently, which is not a situation I like to keep long term. You also notice that there was a mass corpse explosion there. That was me. I am using a Val Detonate Dead because it happened to be the first Val gem I found, and it overperformed expectations a lot. So when it dropped, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to use that just until I get something better. And then it turned out that it was so good that even as a 1-link, I'm really impressed with how Val Detonate Dead is working. It just causes big ignites on enemies. Nasty pack there. I could have easily gone splat if I was a bit more careless. It's one of the things with being set up as a softcore character. You tend to underemphasize defenses, which can cost you in Heist. One thing I will do in a sec is check whether there's any comments that have been made in chat. I don't see any, but I just want to make sure that there's not any that are coming through that are not showing up on my screen because of some silly reason. So let's just see if that is indeed the case. It looks like it's all clear so far. I'm just loading the stream on my own mobile to make sure that that is the case. Let's just type a test, chat. Test. And that has not come up. Oh, yeah, there it goes. It just came up with a bit of a delay. Excellent. So it looks like chat is working. That's good to know. All right. Well, given that we've just done a little bit of looking around in Heist so far, I think it's probably... Hey, thanks all for the clarification there. Given that we have been messing around a little bit in Heist there, I think we might go and do the third labyrinth. So the Merciless Labyrinth. I'm going to do this without looking up the daily layout for it, because I find that can tend to just be an interesting run. If you don't know what you're coming up against, and it will be a bit slower as a result of that, but that's fine. It's not like I'm trying to be top of the ladder. In fact, I'm really surprised that I'm like 300th on the ladder at the moment. I need to go and get that from Act 8, and that reminds me I have not done the Ugle quest yet. The only remaining skill point quest I have not done in the game is the one for Ugle. So I may as well do that as a quick bit of cleanup. And while we're there, we will get Merciless Labyrinth Ascendancy Trial. We'll also get ourselves a... What's the name of that gem? Conqueror's Efficiency. Which is a jewel. It's a unique jewel. It's... Oh, gone the wrong way. I'm a twit. So you can have a look and see what the Mayhem mods are here. This zone has areas contains 10 additional breaches, 40% fizzes cold, and monsters take 35% less damage. And oh, that's meaningful, but especially with me being over level, it's not really. It's 35% less damage is like my skill gems being 3 levels lower, or having 2 less supports, which is quite a bit, but it's not some devastating nerf to damage, and you have a lot of damage here. Like, Wave of Conviction hits hard, and Ignite hits pretty hard as long as you're able to wait it out. So we'll jump into the Bathhouse Zone. And the zone mods here, +2 projectiles, invasion bosses. This is actually quite dangerous. Even with me being over level, I could easily go splat here, which will be funny for you all. Had a bit of a laugh at my expense. I have been dying a lot. I haven't been trying not to, but it is the case that even amongst the very good hardcore players, they are definitely finding that they're having a hard time. They're not getting slaughtered or anything. And I was watching Who's stream for a little bit before, and he's doing fine. He was second on the ladder in hardcore when I was watching him, but it is something that they just have to be that fair bit more careful than in the core game. Because, you know, you've got so many rippy things, and also if you're pushing the Atlas quickly, like they are, then you are probably also very concerned about getting your maximum amounts of juice on every map, so that you don't run out of maps at any point. So that's the High Gardens exit that we need to look for. Zuri, the acts were very smooth once I got Cruel Ascended. So Cruel Ascension was the mastermind of Discord. Let me just demonstrate what I picked up. So normal Labyrinth, this is the thing that makes the build function. Mastermind of Discord in Cruel Lab is what makes it feel amazing damage-wise. It's still very squishy, and you would need to invest more effort and thought into gearing than I did if you wanted to avoid being squishy. And to be honest, you're still going to be somewhat squishy. So you're not going to be resilient, but you can get yourself to a point that you're only dying if you make a big mistake. Whereas I was dying when I made small mistakes too. One thing I haven't really talked about much is that I have changed to adding into the build the Val Detonate Dead, which has been really, really, really good. I just happened to have it drop. I was like, hey, that's a good gem. I'm going to use that because I don't have a better one. And then it turned out that it was actually exactly what I want to use. I might even end up using it as a heavily linked gem in the future. But for now, it's just unlinked. And it just wrecks things. It just does so much damage that, you know, when you're igniting, when it always ignites, it's one of those skills that when it ignites, it really does a lot of damage over time. Because the base damage is based upon the monster that you've exploded's life. And monster life is way higher than player damage. Like, these monsters here probably have maybe, I don't know, 8,000 to 10,000 life or something. So 6% of their life isn't that much. but it's still comparable to Wave of Convictions based damage if you were the right level for this zone. But then once you start getting right into endgame, you'll get monsters that are miles tougher than that. Alright, there's our last Ascendancy trial. So that's the last Labyrinth trial done. We will now go get Yugal, and then after we've done Yugal, we'll go do the Merciless Labyrinth, and then after that we'll get into mapping again. Hey, going? Good, good, good. Or Amit as you are here. Yeah, I think one of the key things is, Zari, for defenses, is always be moving. So if I stand still, you'll find that I'll get overrun pretty quickly. Even though, like, I've got capped resist, so I'm not completely squishy. And I do have 4,600 armor at the moment, which is mostly Determination and Defiance banner. And so I'm not super squishy, but I'm definitely not able to stand toe-to-toe with tough monsters. However, I'm not really trying to stand toe-to-toe with anything. Also, you need to have one of evasion or armor in reasonable numbers. Otherwise, these things will rip you to shreds. That's the porcupines in this zone and a few other places. Maps based on this tile set in particular, the porcupines will rip you apart if you don't have a particular defense against them. And like I said, it's armor and evasion are the two best defenses against them. I am picking up the various, a lot of drops at the moment because it is league start. A lot of things that won't be useful later, or will become clutter later. At the moment, they're still loot. So there, I didn't take any real damage from that explosion, and by the explosion I mean the monsters all dying and setting off their needle storms. And the reason for that is that I've got enough armor that takes the edge of it off, and then just a life recovery will do the rest. Yeah, I'm wanting to get more reservation efficiency. And ultimately I'm going to want a helmet with Deafening Loathing on it as well. That'll help further with that. But yeah, it is definitely, reservations are so much of your defense now. And then at high investment level, you also have the option of Aegis Aurora, but that is very much an endgame option. That's one of the rarer uniques in the game now. Kind of suspect it's tier 1 rarity. Oh yeah, it is nice to do something that shuts down the porcupine explosions, although I will say that they're a lot weaker than they were 3.13, 14, 15 era, before the defenses overhaul. Those porcupines were scary. Now they're just a bit of a nuisance. Now one thing I have as an option, if I want to do a bit more damage against something tanky like Horrormore there, that monster that had the Flameweaver Arch-Nemesis mod on it, so it was quite tanky, I can also throw a Fireball. Fireball doesn't do all that much damage, but it is linked to combustion support, and while an enemy is ignited with combustion support, that will then provide a bunch of debuffs to their fire resistance. So that means that they'll end up taking quite a bit more damage from other sources of ignite, like my Wave of Conviction, which is the big hard hitter. It is nice though to be one-shotting yellow beasts. That's something that I generally like as a metric on a build that's ignite based. That's my Val Detonate Dead going off there. Again, that has outperformed expectations. It wasn't in the original plan, but I kind of don't want to get rid of it now that it's working so well. And we'll find Yugal shortly. And there's Einhar going a little bit silly. Yeah, so leveling, you can always drop haste. If you want more defenses while leveling, you can definitely drop haste and go with determination. Determination works well from low level. It will feel good all the way through the levels. But then again, that means you're not using haste. That's your choice. I haven't been trying to get my respite yet, Andre. That's on the cards, but I feel like I'll just push a bit further without it because I don't feel like it's... I don't feel like not having it is holding me back particularly much. I'm not trying to be #1 in the event or even top 50. And I'm actually quite surprised that I'm top 300. Oh yeah, of course, Yugal's super fast in the campaign. I was doing the terrace map version of this not too long ago, and of course the fight lasts a bit longer there. Alright, next phase. For those of you that aren't familiar with Yugal, one of the things you want to watch out for is these little balls on the ground. They do a lot more damage than you think, and they seem to stack. So they end up being quite scary. They look like a joke, and they're not. They're actually the most dangerous thing in this fight. Once you learn that, the fight becomes really easy. But until then, it can definitely rip you apart. Yeah, Determination and Grace are too good at the moment. Determination in particular is just, like, it's just so good that it feels essential to use. But yeah, Shankar's right. Builds that are converting their damage away from fire, away from lightning, away from physical, they probably don't want to.
Go with courage.
I'd thank the gods, but you seem to be taking them out. So you found them. No easy thing.
And here we get our Conqueror's Efficiency. Now, this has Mana Reservation Efficiency on it and Skill Effect Duration, all good stuff. We're going to be using that because it's got the mods are just good for me. It's actually an endgame item for a lot of builds. It's not endgame for me, but I'm going to use it when I've got one more point. And that is... that's like fringe usable at the moment. I am sitting on that for the moment. I don't want to vendor that. That may end up just being used. What's my right ring currently? I know my right ring is the worst of the two. So my right ring is currently double resist, cold and lightning, and otherwise terrible. If I were to benchcraft cold and lightning double resist on this, how would I be looking? I would be undercapped on cold as a consequence. I am not going to do that until Merciless Labyrinth, because Merciless Labyrinth is going to give me the next tier of that craft. Yeah, Julian's correct there, that if you, if you can convert... I mean, you can still find a use for Grace on those builds, but it's just not essential. Okay, first room has nothing in it. Odd. So we've got crit on this zone, we've got rogue exiles on this zone. That's actually kind of sketchy. It doesn't really matter that much in softcore to die in the first room of the lab, but you still don't want to do it. It feels bad, but it doesn't matter on the non-eternal labyrinths. Still just worthwhile being aware of how dangerous the mods are. It's easy to get into a habit of treating lab as a joke, and then suddenly when it's not a joke, it catches you out. Especially when you've got a 5-link staff. Huh, that's 3C at this point. I'll take that. Yeah, it's often that balance, isn't it, between doing more damage and having the like more durability. One of them is always going to be better, but sometimes it's just not all that important to be indestructible. It's good enough to be just tanky. Okay, oh, yikes, I stuffed up that Scourge monster there. So this is Fizz added double. It's only fire and lightning, so it's not as bad as if we had Fizz added as chaos. That mod is one of the scariest for me. Fizz added as chaos is only 20%, but it's a 26% more multiplier to the damage I take, whereas these elemental ones are only 10% more multipliers. So actually Fizz added as chaos does more than both of these mods together. And it's just one mod. However, Izaro himself will not have a Mayhem mod in his zone. Obligatory because no fun allowed. Okay, what do we got here? Wait a sec, wait a sec. You see I'm opening there with Orb of Storms. Orb of Storms is performing pretty well as well. This is something I'm going to drop after this current lab, as it's just, like, it doesn't really function that well on this build generally. It's just a good thing at the start of progression. Now, judging by the layout, I think it's actually up here. I could be wrong on this, but my reading of the layout, and I'm not actually looking at POElab.com at the moment, I'm just sort of playing this by ear. Okay, I've read that wrong. I thought that there would be an exit up that way, but no, it is actually counterclockwise of it. If you want to punch past all the pinnacle bosses, Zari, play one of the meta builds and just get a bit of experience and confidence with the fights. Then later, try and force your way through them on something off meta. So if you wanted to try Explosive Trap, is really good against all the pinnacle bosses. That's something I can recommend as a way to just get a whole bunch of practice with them and to get that confidence that you can just smash them. Oh, we're actually in another spot. Oh, we're going to have a difficult trap gauntlet. This layout will have a tough trap gauntlet down here. Yeah, Sublime Vision is one of those items that, like, most of the time... Oh, this is the thing I don't like about the... Actually, no, I've got a Bleed Flask now, don't I? That is the thing Corrupting Blood is the thing I don't like about Orb of Storms. Oh, it's bad with it. When a monster has Corrupting Blood, it's going to mess you up. You drop Orb of Storms down. Hey, Myth. Oh, thanks, mate. Are you playing the event yourself, or are you taking a week off, or a weekend off, or are you maybe still playing one of the other leagues, like Permanent Standard or Calandra? Oh, understood, Zari. Understood. It's priorities too, hey. Like, there's just a lot of different things you can do with your leisure time. And especially people that have got, you know, responsibilities that can't wait, like people that have got kids and stuff like that. So there's no Mayhem mods present here, and that means that Azaro feels a lot weaker than you expect after everything else you've been through to get here. Azaro is just miles weaker than you're ready for. Yeah, Myth, something I did with, in 3.15, I was like, alright, I'm going to push 97. This is outside of other content, like outside of, what do you call it, that stupid content, 5 ways and stuff like that. So just basically push myself to 97. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this in Heist while I am on a Zoom conference. So I was at a Zoom conference, and the whole weekend I was like, all right, I'm just going to run a bunch of scoured heists. And Heist is just, the content is just really predictable. More than anything else. The danger is predictable. You know, like, you face Arch Nemesis monsters without map mods, and they just aren't very scary without that. Or back then it was the old mods, which were actually scarier. But you're facing stuff that's just not very scary, and that isn't really designed to kill you, the way that map mods and some of the hardest stuff on the Atlas is. That's a good idea too, Julian. I definitely agree with that. I definitely recommend that to people who find, like, if you're still having fun on a character at the end of a league, just follow it into Standard. Just follow it into Standard for a bit. You know, like, and just go play in Standard for a bit. There's no shame in playing Standard if it's the right place for you. And this community can be pretty anti-Standard at times, but it's definitely the right spot for a bunch of people. Landon, I have taken a few hours off today. I had a tradesperson doing some repairs on the roof. But other than that, I've been... This is, like, the event started for me at 7 a.m. my local, and it is currently 9 p.m. my local. And I was mostly streaming over on Twitch, but I thought I'll just pop in on YouTube as well, because it's a different crowd here. So here we've got harbingers. Harbingers are kind of crazy when you get them. They just add so much juice because it's 20 of the things, but they're also slow. So you need to decide, are you going to just clear enough that you can safely pass, or are you going to obliterate the harbingers entirely? There's no right or wrong answer there. I'm just going to apologise to that guy, say I'm in Merclab at the moment, and that I will sell them the Esh thing later. I've had 2 of the Breach Uniques drop already. I had Ulnatol's Axe drop earlier. I just don't like rushing Labyrinth, especially in an event like this that's got a bunch of weird stuff happening in it. Secret Passage. Don't often actually find these things. But I just want to try and get a sense. I don't know where I am. Oh well. I had some jewel drop, didn't I? Yeah, of course I had a jewel drop. It's not like it's a drop, it's a guaranteed drop. I'm just going to equip that straight away. Should have done that immediately at the time that I got it. And yeah, league starts are definitely the best time in this game, especially if you're someone who... Like, I think they're even better if you're someone who pushes himself early on and has the freedom to do that. Because it's 2 things. It's 1, deciding you want to do that, and 2, it's having the time in a chunk to do it. But it is a real experience to do that. Okay. I want to see where that secret passage led to. Oh, where the Aspirant's Trial. Oh, of course, it's only the second one. Not Zoph's Amulet I haven't had, no. I've had Escher's Claw, and I've had... What's the other thing called? Ulnatol's Axe. Ulnatol's Kiss is the name of the item. Yeah, it is a cool item. I kind of feel like it needs slightly higher numbers. Kind of like every unique weapon in the game. Okay, cool, it's already down. Do not like those charge disruptors in this fight at all. Alright, we're going to jump into a new zone. What do we got here? Silver Case, which you don't care about. Probably the correct exit to this is the first one we encounter going counterclockwise. That's just my usual lab intuition, which is not always right, but is usually right. Ooh, that was quite sketchy. I should have read the mods. It's Beyond, and it is Multi-Proj, and it is Fizz Added as Cold. Multi-Proj is at the sketchier end. And this looks like a Dark Shrine, so I'm going to go get it. This will be a Dark Shrine around here, I think. And it is. Again, that's the lab intuition. The more often you run lab, the more of a sense of those things you start to get. +1 treasure key from Azaro. I'll take it, but I don't really care. What I wouldn't mind is getting a critical strike boot enchant. Although I probably will upgrade my boots beforehand, before I get too far in the game. So maybe that'd be a bit of a waste. Okay, so this is correct. This is where we want to go. And then it looks like it'll be the second one going counterclockwise, although that's not always correct. And that will be the Azaro fight. If it says switch, a switch can be turned on and off, and a lever is just a case of press it once and that allows you to pass. a switch can be toggled, so it can be in either the original position or the reverse, and you can swap that. You can swap it back. A Mirror of Delirium, which is probably broken in this zone, and we have Onslaught and Maim. Maim is actually quite scary in this zone, so you gotta respect that. It's not so much that the monsters maiming you wrecks you directly; it's that the monster maiming you causes you to then die to a trap. That's what's going to actually kill you in here if you do die as a result of being hit by that. Hasted, don't leave a hasted monster alive behind you, especially in an onslaught zone. That's how you end up going splat. I want to have a look at these flasks. No, absolutely nothing I care about. Really just Granite and Jade are the only ones I'm likely to use. I will check this door because it's right near us. I don't think it's the right one. I think this will be the one that takes you southeast. And I'm correct. So we're going to keep going counterclockwise in this room. We're not going to go into that room, even though it is probably an alternate way around. Not leaving a monster with hasted alive behind me. Not even behind a wall, because they can break themselves out of those. And hasted is one of the more dangerous monster mods, because it's one of the ones that predates the changes. Hey, Sing, good. Yourself? Welcome to Merciless Labyrinth. This is a trap gauntlet. I didn't need to do this. This will be a chest reward rather than a requirement. But I'll take it. An extra treasure key. I'd say never hurt anyone, but probably plenty of people have gone splat trying to chase those things. But that said, you know what I mean. This looks like it's where we want to go, and I think that this will be the Izaro fight. Now, Izaro will have some sort of traps in his room, and I don't know what they are. However, we are pretty close to 1 or 2 shotting Izaro here, so we'll have to pay more attention to the traps than we actually do to the boss. Okay, it's the easiest of the trap gauntlets. That said, easiest doesn't mean that it is trivial. Okay, splat. Izaro down. Deal with the trash, because these trash stay active and they can be quite sketchy. And now we will definitely take the amethyst ring. That's unlikely to be good, but it has a potential to. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's it. That is it. And we got junk. They're absolute and utter garbage. But we're not here for the loot. We did not hit what we wanted on the boots. That's okay. And we will just reduce mana. Conditional reduce mana cost is better. This has no enchant. We'll just take the. We'll just take whatever that enchant was. I can't remember what it is, and then re-up all of our reservations. So Zari, the teleport into traps move is one that like with a bit of practice, your trick there is you want to teleport move skill to get to the edge of it, then walk a little bit further out, and then you'll be under control with it. So for the next thing we're going to take Shaper of Storms. Shaper of Storms is going to give us increased effective lightning elements, quite a lot of it, and your hits always shock. We are hitting pretty hard with Wave of Conviction, especially because we've gone Cruelty, and so we're doing pretty nasty hits with it. The 4th Ascendancy, the meta choice is taking Heart of Destruction, but I think I might end up going Bastion of Elements. But that's a fair way off. I'm only in white maps. So doesn't really need to be worked out as yet. Now, I think I'm pretty much out of relevant tier maps, because I did 2 tier 2 maps without getting any returns. I have to have a look and see what's being sold at the moment. 16 all res, a bit of extra fire. Benchcraft life on this, and it's pretty good. I am using trash on my right ring, am I not? Yes, I am. How do my resists look with this and a benched resist? Elemental resist cold is too low. I can't suffix it there, but can I somewhere else? Can I get a cold resist suffix on another item slot? Lightning, no. I could go cold and lightning. What about on here? No, I can't. Hey, this could have damage on it. Okay, I can't use this. This is an upgrade in theory with bench life, but I can't use it. Oh, someone wanted to buy something off me, didn't they? Oops. Caps is on. Ah, they're not online anymore. I do this thing. Throw it in there, watch it sell. That should probably sell 3C early. This needs flat damage to spells on it, I think. Unless I can get damage over time, it's not enough. Fire damage, 44% versus flat to spells. I think flat to spells is better. I'm not sure on that, but I'm just going to take flat to spells. Wave of Conviction's gotten buffed a lot. It used to be not very popular as a skill. Like, people used it just as a support skill, like you're saying. But now it's a lot better than it used to be. It's a lot better than it used to be. It just got numbers boosts. And that was exactly what it needed. Alright, I'm just going to use the 3-for-1 vendor recipe on these. That's a map I haven't done. Good. 2 maps I haven't done. Excellent. That's what we want to see. Get some use out of those low-tier maps while we still have them. And we will transmute these things up. Dark Forest, which has a sketchy boss on it. Bramble Valley, which has the hardest boss on the entire atlas, mechanically. There are skills that do more total damage, like Vile Flame Blast, Discharge, and even Fireball, but they all have hurdles to jump through, and Divine Ire is a pretty extreme example of a hurdle. I played Divine Ire in 3.13, and it just ends up with a sore wrist. That's why I'm not going to play it again. I don't think I want to play a Channeling Spellcaster skill again, actually, after that experience. And you just end up... the precision timing on it is just at a level of stress on wrist that I don't want to repeat. That's assuming that you don't change builds very much. If you're willing to change builds quickly and just use it as a league starter, then change to something else, then you may not have that experience. But I'm not going to play Divine Ire Ignite again. And certainly would never play Divine Ire Crit. Not that anyone does. Yeah, totems will work, because then you don't have that wrist issue. I would say that for Stormburst as well. Stormburst is a skill I've never had any interest in playing, but I certainly would not play it after the experience of Divine Ire Ignite. So that there is Vile Detonate Dead, which is a skill I just happened to come across while I was leveling that has impressed me. It's quite a bit better than I thought it would be, so I'm still using it. Yeah, I have seen that, Masa. A lot of people are using that. I'm currently planning on going with a rare set of gloves instead, but I am flexible to changing my mind. Like, I'm open to changing my mind depending on what I see the weaknesses of the character being as I level up. Vile Caress, Vile Flame Blast. For those of you that aren't familiar, Vile Flame Blast is the hardest hitting of the Ignite skills, and Vile Caress has +5 to the level of Socketed Vile Gems, which is something like a probably 100... I think it's like a 95% more multiplier to the damage it does undead. Ice Nova Freeze. Yeah, I should be reading those. That was my own fault. I should be IDing because I don't have an anti-freeze flask. Anyways. Yeah, so Neoflub, was your experience that the skill was strong but just felt miserable to play? Was that the way that you would explain what it was like using Divine Ire that way? You're correct, Peter. The thing is that tends not to matter all that much because most of your support gems don't give you a large multiplier. The difference between, if a support gem at level 15 is 34% more damage, and it's 39% at 20, that is basically a 4% more multiplier, getting those 5 gem levels. whereas Valkyries is like a 90. It is a lot more damage. It depends on the support. There are supports that don't work that way. Ice Bite, for instance, you would never use Ice Bite in there. Added Chaos damage support you would never use with it. Empowered elements. I'm always happy to see that. Especially early on in a league where there's more chances for middle tier stuff to be good. Let's ID these. Bad, and serviceable, but yeah, not anything to write home about. A Poisonous Concoction on a Trickster. Is that hit-based or is that poison-based? I also have to say, this would be pretty wild for campaign practice. Like, because, you have so much more gear. Cool to the first one as well. Oh, no, that's not the phone. Oh, Chosen is good, though. That's actually a really good div card. Since they buffed Skin of the Lords recently, it's gone from little used to really widely used and really good. Keep in mind that spell totems in general are in a weak place at the moment. It's not that they're unplayable, but they tend to be quite a bit behind other options. Amit, I'm torn on Ruthless. I want to league start Ruthless, but I feel there may be a bit of an obligation for content creation reasons to league start traditional and then convert to Ruthless after a couple of days. It's really going to depend upon what viewers prefer. Like, viewers obviously are polarized on it themselves, but I don't want a situation where, if only 20,000 people are interested in Ruthless content and there's 15 content creators putting out stuff for it, then I'm just basically everything's going to be invisible. On the flip side, I do want to league start Ruthless. So that's the difficult spot that I'm in there. I think I'll have a lot more fun in Ruthless. Whatever the case, I will be in Ruthless by the end of week 1. Unless Ruthless is a hot mess, which I don't expect. I think there'll be flaws with it, but I think it won't be a hot mess. Yeah, I think a lot of people will do it as a second thing for the second thing. See, the thing is, Julian, that I am a video producer first and foremost, and a streamer very much as a secondary afterthought, which is quite unusual amongst Path of Exile content creators. It's really only me and Tenki that do it that way. And I do think that for recorded content... Oh, and Grimro, sorry. Grimro, I mean, he's a bigger streamer as well, but I think he's primarily is a video creator. At least that's just my assessment from how much, how many views I see his videos get versus how many concurrent views his stream tends to get, and then extrapolating out where I think he'd be making more money. But Grimro has said he streams for fun. That was a splat. I was just not ready there for that. See, I'm perfectly fine with failing content. So this boss is just miles harder than anything else. It's like, this is based on Harvest bosses. It was when Harvest wasn't currently in the game in any form. GG decided, we want to have a map that's got the Harvest bosses on it. And they decided to put it on a map that was high tier, but then they dropped it to low tier later. It's like, This does not belong as a low tier map on the Atlas. This should be 16. When this map is on the Atlas, it should be tier 16. Like, and just, you know, it's there as something that players who are that bit more confident can go for it. My attitude, Tavi, is that what loot does is it changes what content is engaging. The more loot that you have, the less the less difficult content needs. Sorry, the more difficult content needs to be engaging. And so, what Ruthless is going to do, in my mind, is make it so that the content that is the content that you outlevel quickly in Trade League is actually going to feel like endgame for a period. I don't expect everyone will agree with that or anything, but that's the appeal from someone that's looking forward to Ruthless. Yeah, I think the thing with this boss being tier 2, though, is that it just sets this really strange expectation for players who aren't familiar with it. It's like, oh, we've got this boss that is just so much harder than you're expecting. And so much harder than you're probably ready for. I do think a lot of players will find that, like, if they were to give Ruthless a try once they feel like they're finished with a league, they might have fun. Not every individual will. And you just got to have a mindset of, I'm going to walk away from this when I stop having fun. Which might be early for some people. But just the idea of, you're going to pounding there. That's, yes, Tunnel Trap was brutal once. Devourers were so rough back then. Yeah, there will be a Ruthless permanent league. At least that's my interpretation of what's been said so far. I'm not guaranteed that I'm right on that, but it'd be crazy if there wasn't. That'll be the main appeal for a lot of people, I think. A lot of people will be like, I'm just going to jump into Ruthless again once I finish in the normal league. The period in Path of Exile that I think I'm most nostalgic for was 1.1. Now, I was a casual player then, and I was quite bad at the game. But there was just so much left to aspire towards beating. That was the thing that had so much appeal to me. So, like, here I was... They just added Uber Atsuri as well as Atsuri. And, like, here I was someone that was, you know, sort of struggling in what would now be equivalent of Act 8. And thinking, oh, yeah, then there's all these maps. Then there's this boss Atsuri that's harder than the maps. And then there's this boss on top of that that is just Atsuri with hugely higher stats. And yet people are managing to beat that. And the ways they were doing it was, you know, like, it was really... I don't think... Like, the early kills of Atsuri were really quite ingenious. Like, the snapshotting strategies that were used to kill her early. Because you just... The skill threshold to beat her at first was really high. Then as gear improved over time, the skill threshold started to drop. Because more gear meant that you could kill her faster, make more mistakes. Oh, squished. Okay. This is where I'm starting to really struggle in this specific setup. It's really Beyond that I'm struggling most with, because I am killing monsters, then Beyond is coming along and spawning new monsters after I've dealt with the monsters, and that is messing me up badly. So my Wave of Conviction has already passed, and Wave of Conviction has issues with using it again, because casting a second one deletes your first one. Alright, so we're using things here that attack the action speed of the monsters. That's my standard strategy for Blight when I'm weak. So physical inflicts stuns on them intermittently, cold inflicts chills, and then I can come along and just do damage to them. I'm trying to do the damage myself. I'm not trying to have my towers do appreciable damage. I mean, the lightning tower will do some. Yeah, I think the thing with Atsuri, though, is that, like, Atsuri is very binary a lot of the time. Like, there's a bunch of mechanics where it's like, you win or you die. One of the things I like about the Maven in particular is that there is a very large space in between with the Maven, where if you stuff up one of the... if you stuff up the placement of the Void Zones, then the fight is much harder for you, but it's not actually lost. That might actually be quite good. That isn't. And that isn't, but might actually be good enough for someone to use as is. That can stay on the ground. What are the red things that shoot from my character? That'd be Fireball, I think. I'm using Fireball, which is not there for damage. It's there to deliver combustion support. Against tankier monsters, I'm throwing a Fireball in. Oh, I didn't even realize I had an Effigy there. Effigy's been nerfed really substantially. It used to be terrifying. Unless you're thinking of Vile Detonate Dead, which is this skill. Which isn't shooting from my character, it's Corpse Explosion Chains. Oh, we have a Breach Lord. Alright, Tull's down. That's good. Oh, Glove Enchant. Sorry. Yep, I was forgetting that. Thank you for people who realised that in chat. Double green, double red, single blue. I don't think I can use that. That's going to go in the 3C. 3C sales. Three C sales tab tends to be something you'll vendor after a day or two in the league. But even in a league like this that's voided, there's still plenty of trading happening because people are trying to get themselves set up. And there's enough people playing that a barter economy doesn't really work. We just want to have something liquid that everyone wants. Yeah, thanks for figuring that out, chat. Yeah, I wanted to see what the enchants were. Like, the helmet enchant options were terrible. And the boot enchants, I really want one specific one on this character. Which is the critical strikes, conditional critical strikes one. I think it's increased critical strike chance if you have not inflicted a critical strike recently. I think that's what the mod is exactly. But I know it's a big number. It's a really high number for crits. And it's perfect for a build that is using Elemental Overload. Because if you have inflicted a crit recently, you don't care about it. I need castaway damage taken on Molten Shell at some point. As soon as my determination's high enough and I can then fix up sockets to make it work, that's going to be going in. Oh, how do you get out of that? That's, that thing is a killer. Ah, splat. Okay, so I got myself in trouble there because I was evading something more deadly. So I was trying to evade... I am undergeared for this content, but I was trying to evade the magma barrier. I had two choices there. The right choice was to run backwards. The wrong choice was to run forward, which is what I did. And that's why I went splat. That is actually good colours there. That can help me get rid of this chest, because this chest is awful. And then that can solve a bunch of other stuff. It's really hard to make it work properly with the current setup where it's only one skill that's got it. That's actually overloaded. I also don't miss the old alley overload mechanically. Like the whole having to fit in Stormbrand on every build. Or not necessarily exactly Stormbrand, but a Stormbrand wannabe skill. I've tried Frost Shield a little bit, and I've never been that happy with it. Mostly because a lot of the time when you want to guard, you also want to be moving. It does see a fair bit of use, though. Like, I was surprised when I was looking up the numbers on it. It's like it's several % of the highest level players using it. Last I checked. So it's not super. It's not like mega niche. That's correct. Yeah, the dome skill. While you stand within it, it's an ablative shield like Molten Shell, except it stays in place. And while you stand in it, I think it's only 20% of damage that's taken by it. But also you get some bonus to offensive spellcasting. I think it's, I can't remember the exact details. Whatever it is, it's pretty alright. But it's not super meta, but it is good. And it does get used. It can get used for both. It's like, it is a genuine hybrid thing. Also, knockback is really obnoxiously unpredictable sometimes. Like, there are a lot of times you don't want knockback on. What do we got here? No. Nah, it all stays on the ground. It's crit, that's right. Thanks, Neoflob. Yep. I knew someone would know the details. That one link Val Detonate Dead is just so overperforming expectations. Really liking it. Harvest, and yikes, that was a lot of damage there. 'Kay, nothing here. These are both trash. Act 1 was rough, Dave. Later acts were more managed because you had more gear than usual. So you were fighting harder content, but you were more geared. No good monsters here either. This is all low tier stuff. Oh. Still nothing. Drops was. We got a red monster. Red monster. We got a tier 3. That'll be worth it. $47. It's still alright. It's a low tier harvest. Tormented Spirits was the most chaotic. And invasion bosses could be dangerous. Beyond could be very dangerous, depending on the zone. But yeah, Tormented Spirits were crazy and fun. And by crazy and fun, I mean in a way that some people don't like. Talking wild stuff happening and lots of things dying everywhere. You would not want to do A lot of zones with Tormented Spirits you'd want to be very careful of if you're playing in hardcore. Very, very careful. That's the thing, yep. It is fun. I mean, as I said, I'm playing in softcore, so it's pretty low stress too. So this feels almost good enough, except, no, I'm not going to use it. It's not going to sell. No. No, we ignore that. This thing, Spreading Rot, 11%. I'll just list it. Okay, 3C, Corrupted Thing. 3C for that, yeah, 3C for that. I'll just get listed and see what happens. I don't have any new maps now at this point. That means it is time for a Kirak mission, or time for a heist. Or time to try and work out what we can do with this. Let's see what happens when we smash this thing. Ruin. Ruin happens. We vendor it. And we have a passive point. Oh, nice. That's a big one. That's a very big one there. And we have a passive point. I quite like the state of Torment in the core game now. Not the ghosts themselves, but the various other mechanics that are based on it. The map mod that areas, that zone bosses are possessed, that one is cool. Like, that one just does a lot of interesting stuff. So, Dave, the issue is that your Heist Locker doesn't have affinity automatically. I fixed that now, so... But I was wanting to run a bunch of heists, so we might get into that. Get the quest one out of the way, as well as the low-level one. Low-level will take someone that hasn't been on it yet. Let's get Vindy out of the way. Oh, Cirrus down. Yeah, Harbingers were rough in Act 1. What do we have here? Tormented Spirits. That's nuts. So, Underbelly heists have this. Unfortunately, we've only got 10 minutes left in the hour, so we're not going to get to do very many of them. These are wild in Heist. Tormented, like, look at this craziness. Oh, we're getting to meet Gianna at this point too, which is also good. Always happy to see Gianna in Heist. Forgot to get the chest, but it doesn't really matter. This is only level 59 stuff. I just don't want to leave terrifying monsters behind me. Even in... Oh, there's also there's the map mod. Yeah, Harbingers I had in the second zone of the game. The one after Hillock, that was rough. That was real rough. Who's messaging me there? No, that's not a message. Thought my phone was singing at me that someone was trying to get me on Messenger, but no, it's YouTube Music telling me to check out something. Can't do that while I'm streaming, you know that. Oh yeah, that's worse, Gamer. That's a lot worse. Having it at Hillock would have been awful. Yeah, I mean, look, Havoc's one of the best players in the game and really just demonstrates it all the time. With, you know, like, there's a combination of being extremely solid and being extremely consistent, and he manages to do both. And, you know, like, all the planning that goes into a run like that, they're going to deserve their win when they get it. And they're going to get it tomorrow. You know, it's going to be crazily fast. So much for people saying, oh, the game's so hard now.
Leave us alone.
I mean, it can be hard for people that don't know a lot of the shenanigans, but... think they show that if you do know the shenanigans, it's not.
I've never told my kids this, but gods, I love crime.
Yeah, that's absolutely bonkers. Where am I? I think I'm 286th on the ladder, which is just crazy. Like, I do not feel like I should be 286th. Let me just get my correct YouTube view back up. There we go. I'm just wondering how long it's going to take until we see a situation where someone with a massive coordinated group effort gets a level 100 within 24 hours of the league starting. I don't think that's happened yet, but I think it's going to. Alright, let's bring Gianna on a walk. This one has is one of the nasty drawbacks on it, and it's Tormented Spirits again. Yikes. So this has got constantly increasing alert. We have to respect that a lot. That's really fearsome. We're only going to get good chests in this. I normally roll over that mod, but this time I couldn't be bothered. Sometimes you just want to run something hard, and if you fail, you fail. It's only a tier 2 heist. Hey, someone's buying something off me. That'd be the scepter I was using, I think. Like, I feel like there were a lot of things that were rough in the... Like, if you're talking 3.0 era... well, let's 3.0 as an outlier. If you're talking, say, 3.1, Map Sustain was harder. Uber Elder was actually an elite boss, like... as hard as Uber Duber Elder is now. If you're talking later 3X, like 3.9 to 3.13 era, I think there were a few things that were pretty hard then too. Mostly one-shots. Like it was... Content was easier to beat, but often harder to beat Deathless because there were so many one-shots that were going around the corner everywhere for you. And as always, Gianna's wording, the stuff Gianna talks about is so many double entendres in that. She and Vindiri actually are both filthy minded. And it stands out more with Vindiri because people expect it from a creepy old man like he is. Gianna's just as bad. Yeah, I hope 320s that they nail a league mechanic and that they reduce some of the rippiness that is in the core game at the moment. I'm not talking about Arch Nemesis here. I'm talking about the Atlas rippiness. Because the Atlas is incredibly rippy at the moment and Arch Nemesis gets blamed for it. Why am I going in that zone? I don't need to. If we had the old mods from prior to Arch Nemesis, I think we'd actually be rippier. Like, the projectiles would just be obliterating people. See if that guy still needs that item. What did they want? 4-5. Position 4-5. 4-5. That was indeed what I used to be using. I was using that for a while until eventually I worked out that with my current setup, the +1 is quite a bit better. Even though the +1 doesn't have... +1 doesn't have some other stuff on it. What am I doing? I'm going to go back to... Where's my stash? There's my stash. Yeah, it comes down to how much you've juiced a map, though. If you've overjuiced a map, then you will get one shot, but it won't be because of Arch Nemesis mods. It'll be because of the juicing level. Stack deck, time lost relic. Stack deck. Yeah, crangled. Orb binding. We'll just stick it on someone. Cast, you just use this for now. That'll do.
That would just make life
Okay. Do you have anyone with engineering capacity? Yeah, Huck does. Cool. And that's Essence being rippy, to be honest. Like, Arch Nemesis adds to Essence meaningfully, though, because of the durability increase. Tormented Spirits, crit, and monster damage. Yikes. That's rude. And also the fact that you can scale those mods up more. Like, you often scale those mods up more, and Wrath of the Cosmos is, like, a just deleter of characters. But people just feel like they should be using it because I think a big factor is that there's no increased cost to use it. There's no barrier to entry, and people see streamers using it because they've got some familiarity with the content. You know, they're confident, okay, I can dodge things reasonably well, so I'm just going to take Wrath of the Cosmos, and I'm going to die a couple of times, and I don't care because the loot's going to be worth it. But it does so much damage. On Dredge, the answer I would give to that is that I think stacked decks should start with a drop level for divination cards of 60. Then over the league, that should increase. A bunch of divination cards are not available unless monsters are a certain level. So for instance, the Apothecary requires a level 75 drop, and a lot of the boss ones are the highest. So that's what I would change on them. Make it so that there is a timer so that they can be, you can get everything from them, just not for a little while. That'd be my rework of them. I don't know whether it be a timer or whether it be based upon various things getting killed within it, within the league. Like once there's been 10 kills of Uber Eater of Worlds, then level 86 ones can drop or something. There is a high skill threshold to that, Julian. There is a very high skill threshold to those builds. Like, if you take, say, a classic Crouching Tuner build from circa 3.7, which is probably the most extreme example of over-the-top damage, you'll find that a casual player given that build will take a lot of damage, because they just won't be preemptively firing at the right time. Someone with tuners play skill, yeah, they'll nail stuff. They'll off-screen everything. But someone that doesn't have that level of play skill will get splattered, even if they had tuners gear. You know, like the sort of often would have sort of 25 mirrors worth of gear. But even with that, you'd find that a lot of players would die playing it. And it's partly because Tuner customizes builds to his level of skill. And he's quite aware, this build has a weakness, and I am capable of dealing with it. That's true of a bunch of other people like him. He's just the one that comes to mind because he was sort of a pioneer of extremely... offense is the best defense. Hey, so... Let's get that thing to that person. Yeah, and that is what's being said about monsters that don't let you kill them before you see them. That's the new Atlas mechanics too. Like, that is fundamental to the 317 influence packs, that you can't off-screen them because they aren't there until you're in proximity to them. That's the right item, wasn't it? Yeah, that's the right item. Ah, he's splitting his chaos, is he? Yep. Suck deck. Belly of the Beast. That's someone asking, am I the real Sergog or a fake Sergog? Occasionally get that. Not that often. Cool. That's I am the fake one, yeah. Okay, let's vent to that. And now, what do you need? We wanted to do the quest line, didn't we? Get the quest line out the way.
What's the job?
Put Talina to work. Talina. Tullet. Oh god, Chris, I saw the funniest thing recently. This has been around for a while. I've just only seen it. Some absolute legend mashed up a Eminem song with the Crab Rave. It's called Crab God, and it'll come up as the first search for that if you look for Crab God on YouTube. It's one of the funniest things I've seen in ages. Yeah, I usually remember the Adia one. It is legendary, that one. Unfortunately, like, just obvious reasons I can't play it while stream, but it is so funny. Like, highly recommend checking it out. One thing that I'm kind of curious how long it will take is for the first person IRL that knows me only through streaming to ask me IRL, oh, are you Sergog? That would be funny. That hasn't happened yet outside of an ExileCon. Like, that doesn't count. You know, it's in the context of something Path of Exile related. Oh, that was actual trash from my Harbinger chest there. I guess you usually do get trash from them now, but it's still... Like, that was quite a bit worse than a question mark chest would have been.
Security has spotted us.
Anyways, let's get the wedding dress and get out of here. So much work when we all know how the story's going to end for Talina. First she gets us to risk our lives stealing this wedding dress, then she just breaks it off anyway. Okay, pump through here. Drop that. It's useful to know your limits with tanking stuff like that. I was pretty confident I could easily tank that slam. because there was nothing else. If there'd been more stuff on the screen, I wouldn't have tried to tank that.
Good. Keep up no witnesses.
And I'm killing monsters down the side paths just for XP at this point. You can kill them once on the way out and get full XP for it. And you can often kill them multiple times, but I don't know the exact mechanics of that. At some point, they stop giving XP and items. And usually I just assume that once is enough.
When I'm ready. Out of our way.
Okay, I get a good node at this point on the passive tree. I had an Elemental Mastery. It's my second one. So I should probably spend that. The original plan was going to be to get rid of the... get the 15% all ally res, but I have that. For the moment, I'm going to take 10% of Fizz added as a random element. That's genuinely useful. Speaking of autographs, I have a Chris Wilson autograph on a Toucan t-shirt.
The Lady Murder.
That's one of my favourite Path of Exile meme possessions. That's trash. Oh yeah, because I don't have any other rewards there from that. I think at this point, I'm just going to deposit the rest of the heist. I might do them at some other point, but I think we've done enough heist for the current... we've done enough heist, except I'll run the level 69 one just because it's a +1 blueprint reveal. And then if I do get a blueprint, I can then run that. Plus we'll get Huck off the ground. So Huck will be level 2 after this, which is also really useful. I like having Huck a lot, just for the substantial boost to XP he grants you. I should just check the mods in here. Harbingers. Let's see if Harbingers work. I don't know if they will. I've got a feeling they might not fit. And it seems like when the Mayhem event stuff doesn't fit, the game doesn't try and spawn half of it. It just goes, can't spawn 20, no, so can't spawn anything. Alright. Bunch of monsters are going to die here. These pools on the ground are ignite proliferation from corpses, which is something that's really, really fun to stick around. Just let those corpses keep burning for you. I didn't mean to pick that up. Heist really is the point where you stop picking up rares because there are just so many of them dropping that you just don't care.
When I'm ready and not before.
These things are tremendously tanky, especially when they've got a Flame Weaver on them, for me. So it's something that just specifically nerfs my build. Flame Weaver is a really defensive mod against me. So it means the fight goes considerably longer. But those are tanky monsters anyway. Blight ones are usually terrible. Only reason I'm opening this is because I don't have many of the low-level oils. And that's just area contains a Blight encounter on that map. That is not a blighted map. Killing stuff for XP, man. XP is good. Honestly, the XP in Heist is really strong. There's just so many monsters in here compared to pretty much any other content in the game. About the only thing with more is actually a grand heist.
It's going down. Go, go, go.
I mean, that specific super tanky monster is a good point. Like, that is... that one could easily have been left. I probably would have been more efficient to leave that specific monster alive, but yeah.
All clear.
It's only a few seconds.
Keep back, keep back.
It's called your second character of the league, Chris. That's the day that you don't forget a lab trial. Because you do forget them, but you don't need to do them. So it doesn't matter. And you feel like you didn't forget them.
That was quite an adventure.
Indeed.
Alright, that's a +1 on Huck. Yeah, I was sitting at double ascended for a long time this league. No, that's not any good. Oh, I'm talking to the wrong person. Really not thinking. I may not think good now. That jewel is perfectly rolled. That one is earning itself a Val Orb. Crangled. Oh, that's wrecked. Nice. That's one thing that I think Ruthless is going to be a real reminder to the days before Lab, back when a lot of content was a lot harder than it is now, just because of Lab being so much power creep. Monsters did get a boost when Lab was added, but it wasn't enough to match the sort of monstrous amount of power that was given there. Oh, okay. I might have underpriced the self-flage. I definitely underpriced it. Oh well, they don't have it. Oops. This is a terrible roll. I'm surprised anyone wants it at that roll. Anyway. Let's just... No. Yeah, I'm planning on doing that. I'm planning on just boosting some of the stuff to be silly. I've underpriced that, so that's alright. It's on a lot of the totem builds. Anything that uses Soul Mantle will use it. What do we got here? I'm gonna run this. Yeah, so my plan is I'm going to be... I am going to, not today, but tomorrow, or maybe maybe even Monday, I'm going to spec into the Rogue Exiles on the passive tree, the Rogue Exile Torment Cluster, and then I'm going to run all the stuff that's got Rogue Exile content in it. So that we wind up with a whole bunch of ghosted Rogue Exiles everywhere. I can't level because I'm dying all the time. That's my plan. The thing is, Soul Metal doesn't need to be dead for there to be some demand for the build. Like, it's weak compared to what it used to be. I don't think it's... I don't like the builds, but it does function. It's more than powerful enough to clear non-Uber bosses fine. I'm sure that there's people doing Ubers with it. Yep, Breach is going to work really well with it too. Breach is probably my next thing, so I'm going to get all of the gem level stuff first. Not gem level. What do I mean by gem level? All of the map drop level. I'm going to get all of that on the Atlas first. I'm then going to get all of the Torment-related, Torment Rogue Exile stuff. And then I'll probably take Breach after that. Kind of wish there was still invasion support on the Atlas. Oh. Cassia sounds so disappointed as always. Oh, that was an exile there. No wonder he was doing some damage. I want a situation where the singleton side is automated by the tower, if possible. And then I can focus on killing the ones on the other side. I don't know if we'll quite get there. Vile Detonate Dead is fun. My determination's getting up higher now. Level 17. Is it 18 because of the... No, that's fire on that. I'd rather that be physical because of... I think determination's physical. Should check that, actually. I should know it. Yeah, it is physical. I thought so. Yeah, that's something I think is a real weakness that they tried to fix with the Atlas Memories. I just feel that the problem with the Atlas Memories is that they made them 4 maps at a time instead of 1. I feel like the Atlas Memories should have been 4 times as common, but only 1 map. Oh, nice, a higher level heist. I mean, I get where they're trying to go with having them escalate, but also the fact that they are such a big, like, they're such a big issue to run ends up meaning that you don't run them unless you're really sure you can beat them. Which, again, I think would be different if they were smaller. The Harvest one's still going to be extreme because it is so ridiculously good. But even the lesser ones are have that same issue. Yeah, that sounds about typical for me. Like, you definitely get... I think you get, like, 3 or 4 Divine Orb drops to every Atlas Memory, I think. It could even be more than 3 or 4, and they only drop in the Atlas content as well. You're not getting them in stuff like Delve or Heist. Hey, what do we got here? Trash, trash, trash. Some of the stuff that I'm vending as trash here might actually be technically better than what I've got equipped, but I'm not that conscious of what needs to be upgraded right now. But none of it is likely to be a big upgrade. None of it's a breakthrough upgrade, even if it is an upgrade. Like my breakthrough upgrade is going to be getting a 6-link chest, probably. Not that I necessarily can't do a 5 as an interim step. What I'm going to do now is check the current prices on the most important item that I want to get, which is Beric's Respite. If I can buy that now, I'm going to. Alright, Beric's Respite seems cheap. Let's see if it actually is cheap. Yes, it is. Fantastic. Oh, wow. Perfect. Is that the one that's the same base as the... Excellent. Well, I got my barracks respite now. Here I was thinking that I was going to need to mess around for that. I have to fix up resists afterwards, but this is worth it. Let's firstly go with a Blessed Orb on it, get it to at least 15. 16, nice. And how well divined is this one? Not that I'm going to divine it. Not well, but not miserably either. Okay, so what do my resists look like now that I make this swap? Cold is miserable, fire is in excess, and lightning is okay. Okay, how do I fix that? I need to look to see, is there anything that I can put cold resistance on? No, that's suffix capped. This could be changed to hybrid cold and lightning, or it could be changed to, yeah, hybrid cold and lightning is the way to go because... Sorry, no. Pure cold is the way to go. I know what I'm doing here. Oh, hang on. The numbers are higher on the hybrid. The numbers are miles higher on the hybrid. So hybrid it is. And we got a good roll on it too. Okay, what do we got here? Suffix capped already. Lightning resistance on this, so... If we change the lightning resistance on that to hybrid... Then we swap over our... Oh, we swap over another craft. We could do that. Or we could just get rid of this stupid hat. Do I need the strength anymore? Oh, that's easy. What stat did I need? I need cold only. Alright, I don't need to change mastery. Already has a cold mod. Okay, it's got to be a hybrid cold then. Cold and lightning. Top tier is good. Yep. 3 points short. I can live with 3 points short. Alright, we have Barracks Respite. Let's go run some content with Barracks Respite. Do I actually have... Yeah, I've got maps. I've got Carrack missions. What do I want? I actually probably want... I know I can beat that. Rare map item... Versus Smuggler's Cache is better. It's too much better. And that resets Carrack's inventory, so we'll just go buy him out. Got it. Don't have it. Perfect. This is the breakthrough moment in our Atlas progression. There. That's our Atlas breakthrough moment. Now we have maps. Oh, I just, the Flame Blaster got me good then. I survived it fine, but, oh, that thing is rough. You don't want to get hit by that. The only thing that's left in terms of damage projection now is getting the Explodey Wand. Obliteration. That would replace my +1 bow. Okay, so that's another 2 heists to run there. Yeah, you start seeing how those shocks and ignites just spread around everywhere when these monsters start dying. Definitely satisfying running with Barracks Respite. Like, it's a huge upgrade over not having it. And I'm, like, it's crazily powerful at 13C, that item. Glad I don't need to go through the ordeal that I was testing last night, which was how long it takes to farm it yourself. Yeah, that'll do. Huh, got myself into a bit of trouble there with something that was... with a monster that had me frozen. I think there was a Stormcaller. Oh, no. See this Stormcaller? No. Thought I'd walk past a div card that I wanted to pick up. Actually, I don't want to pick it up in this event. What do you want to Vigdar Square for in this event? There's no challenge to do it. To be sure, we got it finally. +1 from there. Okay. I will pick up the boots, the most likely of those to be good, and then we'll duck out. Feels like everything is starting to come together more now. Obviously, Barracks Respite's a big thing, but things were going right earlier before as well. Junk. No one ever uses this, do they? Like, there was a period where this was absolutely nuts because this level requirement was 1, and it was just, like... It sort of still is. I think... No, it used to be... Was it that you could... cast when stunned could trigger a totem, I think. You still can use this with totems, though, can't you? You put Holy Flame Totem in this. I've got to test that. Holy Flame Totem in this used to be God tier leveling item. Holy Flame Totem was a different skill then, but it wasn't that different. Still recognisably the same as what it is now. And this thing is... +2 level of socketed. Is that... That's an upgrade, surely. Oh, no, I've got a fair bit of life on that. Oh, that got changed, didn't it, Sidberth? Oh, yeah, that's significant. Alright, I'm going to do one last thing, and then I'm going to call it for the night, because I have been, whilst I've been playing non-stop since 7 this morning, been up a fair bit of that, and like had a bit of stuff with a tradesperson doing repairs around the house. But other than that, it's been pretty constant, so I think we'll get this heist done, and we'll see how Barracks Respite feels in Heist, where there's corners. Corners should be really good with it. Torment Spirits, crit, this is rough. Rough mods. Assuming the spirits actually spawn. Which they have. The thing with them in here is that they spawn in the less dangerous phase. The Tormented Spirits. Like, the dangerous phase is after lockdown. And at that point, the only Tormented Spirits that are left are ones that spawned in rooms. And then you probably don't open the rooms on the way out. Usually you don't. Feels like this would be really rude if they had them appear. If they had them appear on the way out again, respawned. Synthesized belt? Nah, it's terrible. One implicit synth items usually are, to be fair. I can't give you a definitive list. Harbingers don't seem to yet. The rest mostly seem to. Breaches definitely do. which is kind of crazy. Oh yeah, this is a quest one, of course. Oh, that's a lot of damage there. Level up. I just go pick the Sapphire Ring. Single resist rings can still be worth having at this point if they're well rolled. They have to be pretty good rolls, but I'm willing to make them work if they're good. I don't think so, no. I don't think Heist had anything with Blast Mayhem. That's a Lunaris in here, I believe. I think I was seeing Lunaris. Yeah, that's definitely Lunaris shenanigans. Ah, there it is. That was a dud. So that triple elk, triple chaos drop there, that was a currency conversion god. Lunaris touched. Had a lot of potential, but that's pretty common to get low results like that. Still always want to kill them when they show. Like, they are a jackpot spawn. Oh, taking a fair bit of damage there. Use Vile Detonate Dead to get through that pack. I feel I need to solve defenses, which really is just a matter of cast when damage taken, Molten Shell, and maybe a couple other things to get going there. But for now, I think that may be the end of what I do tonight. As I say, I do need to get some sleep. So I think I will call the stream at this point, except with a quick recap of what we're using. So gear is just general rubbish, with the exception of Beric's Respite, which we've picked up. And we picked that up right at the end. Center and Flesh is just basically Energy Shield, which is weaker than Life for me. Elemental Resistances and Evasion, which is sort of okay. It's nothing amazing. This is bad. This is bad. This is actually okay, but not great. And this is just rubbish. Oh yeah, Delirium and Heist. The problem for me is that the week that Delirium Everywhere is happening, I am just going to be staggeringly busy, so there's probably not much I can do there. Do I want 2 points for this? I think I do, don't I? Oh, hang on, no, I've got such a good cluster down here. Not that one. Where is that cluster I wanted? It's here. Yeah. No, I'm taking Devotion first. Wait. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Delirious Heist would be. I don't think I've seen a Mirror of Delirium in there, though, so maybe it doesn't work. But, like I said, I will be calling it at this point, and may your Valorbs have interesting results, and I will see folks around. Thank you all for tuning in. And I'll be streaming either on Twitch or back here tomorrow. I haven't made up my mind yet. I can only do one of them at a time, just because of Twitch's rules, so it'll be one or the other.